Need more money, connections, associations, and what you would call a relaxed mind? Have you ever wondered why some folks are regarded as high flyers and successful people with results to show? You know the names. It's been found out that the difference between these high flyers and successful people is mindsets and how they think. Welcome to Baseline Beats with Benga. Here is this week's episode.
Let's talk about another personality on today's episode. Thanks for joining me. I am Benga. So, what individual will today's episode be about? Wait for it. My attention today is on a Nigerian women's rights activist and social mobilizer who was a pioneering female politician in the country's first republic and a leading member of a class of traditional Nigerian women activists, many of whom rallied women beyond nations of ethnic solidarity. She played major roles as a grassroots and nationalist politician in the eastern Nigeria city of Aba in the era of hierarchical and male-dominated movement towards independence, with a rise not the least helped by the socialization of women's role into that of helpmates or appendages to the careers of males. The woman in question was born in Creektown, Cross River State of Nigeria on July 27, 1914. She reached Standard 6 of the School Leaving Certificate in 1934. However, for her, tragedy struck at home with the death of her father in the same year. Her goals of further education in teachers' training were then put on hold as a result. She then started working as a pupil teacher in elementary schools. She got married to a doctor in 1938. Time to unmask the personality in question. Margaret Ekpo, held and highly regarded when it comes to activism and emancipation of women and consciousness of women when it comes to political engagement and participation. As you probably already know, when I focus on personalities just like I am today, the aim is to look at what principles these people modeled or model, as the case might be. This isn't so you are another Margaret Ekpo. This is about looking at what can be adopted as displayed by the late heroine while she was alive. But how did Margaret become involved with politics? What events were pivotal to shaping her involvement in politics? In 1944, Margaret accompanied her husband to Ireland, where she had an opportunity to pursue higher education, enrolling at the Rathmane School of Domestic Economics in Dublin, now Dublin Institute of Technology, Dublin, Ireland. In some years' time, she returned with her husband to Aba in eastern Nigeria, where her husband commenced his medical career at Aba General Hospital, while she set up a domestic science training school. Margaret's first direct participation in political ideas and association was in 1945. Her husband was indignant with the colonial administrators' treatment of indigenous Nigerian doctors, but as a civil servant, he could not attend meetings to discuss the matter. Margaret Ekpo then attended meetings in place of her husband. The meetings were organized to discuss the discriminatory practices of the colonial administration in the city and to fight cultural and racial imbalance in administrative promotions. She later attended a political rally and was the only woman at the rally, which saw fiery speeches from Mbonu Ojike, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Herbert Macaulay. By the end of the decade, she had organized a market women association in Aba to unionize market women in the city. The fire definitely started for Margaret several years ago. She used the association to promote women's solidarity as a platform to fight for the economic rights of women, economic protections, and expansionary political rights of women. Let me take a pause here and listen to Rara Rira by Brimo. Stay here.
Me and my guys, our party no the end. Miss White stay for house, she go stay with us till the dawn. We dey talk the talk, we dey walk, we dey pay for things where we want. All the dreams of yesterday, them go come true tomorrow. Everybody where we meet for the places where we dey go. Them like to jolly, like to talk, and to the things them they talk. We no get the time to the force. Wahala day we go solve. Life will too short to worry too much and wait for God to come.
Thanks for hanging around. What lessons then are there for the taking from Margaret Ekpo's life? I'd mention 3. Number 1, quest for knowledge. Now, this is something to hammer on and imbibe as a person. Margaret's education could have actually ended at standard 6 in the Nigerian educational system at the time. Remember, the death of her father in 1934 impacted her goals of further education in teachers training, but Margaret's determination wouldn't allow. Yes, she got married in 1938, but she ensured to further her education when she accompanied her husband to Ireland at the time. And this is the thing, education should be beyond the 4 walls of any institution of learning. It should be a lifelong attribute and characteristic. And hear this, you can learn from just about anyone, only if you pay attention and don't look down on people or sources where you can learn from. You heard the words right, pay attention. And that's the thing. People, or most people that I've related with, have the tendency to look down on sources where they could learn from. And for what it's worth, someone pretty young, you can learn from the person. Someone pretty old, you can learn from the person. Someone in your peer group and your age bracket, you can also learn from such people. So never be quick to shut down learning opportunities. And you find that it's always easier for those who have the mindset of just any source could be where they could learn from. You know, coming to work sometimes, and I'm trying to give a secret here, you probably have no idea how you want to present a show, how you want to go about a program, but on the way you could see something that just sparks up that creativity that is in there, and voila, you have something to use to pass your message across during the course of whatever it is. It could be a training, it could be anything, it could be you trying to raise up children, it could be you trying to pass a message across to a set of teammates, anything it could be. Bottom line is this again, pay attention. You could learn from just about anywhere. So ensure to imbibe the attributes of constant learning and quest for knowledge. Number 2, selflessness. Margaret was never sorry for being a woman. In fact, this seemed to be her greatest strength. With grace in her courage, she stood her ground as an equal of men, representing women. Her awareness of growing movements for civil rights for women around the world prodded her into demanding the same for women in her country and to fight the discriminatory and oppressive political and civil role colonialism played in the subjugation of women. Sounds like a whole lot to digest. A case of her selflessness happened in the 1950s. She teamed up with Fumilayo Ransom Kuti to protest the killings at an Enugu coal mine in eastern Nigeria. The victims were leaders protesting colonial practices at the time. I understand that during the demonstrations, Margaret made a fiery speech. She declared if a woman had been among those killed, the British women in Aba would have all been killed. Well, Margaret went overboard with that speech there. In fact, she was arrested immediately for making such an inflammable speech. Here's the drift. Margaret was willing to go all the way, but also realize, let your going all the way be always in context. You don't have to go overboard in your bid to want to go all the way and make your selflessness evident for all to see. You see, when you are about your selflessness benefiting humanity, it has to be put in context. But your safety is also very important, because for what it's worth, if you get lost on the road to you proving your selflessness, life will continue. And that's what it is. Okay, so be selfless, be there for people, show that it can be done time and time again and again, but ensure that you don't make inflammable statements. You don't go overboard in your trying to make your case known and trying to prove a point. For what it's worth, don't use your life proving a point. Finally, is this proactiveness. You need to realize that you are in charge of your life. How it turns out is up to you. At the rally I mentioned that Margaret attended that sowed the seeds of her involvement in politics, an aftermath of that rally was she devising ways to encourage women in Aba to participate in political rallies. So here's what she did. She tried to get more women to join the Aba Market Women Association so that she could pass on information from meetings to them, but their husbands were reluctant to allow this. After World War II, salt was difficult to get, and Margaret did something quite unusual. Margaret used this to her advantage. You know what she did? She bought all the bags of salt, giving her control of its sales, and then ordered that only women who were members would be sold to. As salt was a necessary item, all the men allowed their wives to register. Cunning, but smart, right? Here it is again. Don't be at the mercy of situations and circumstances. Pay attention. I am not saying manipulate. That's wrong. I am saying be in charge of your life. And you see, people attribute the control of their lives to several things. I've mentioned before in previous episodes of this how there is what is called a circle of concern and circle of influence. People spend the most time in that circle of concern. What is the weather saying? What does she think about me? What did she say about me? And neglect the circle of influence, which is directly what they have control over. What do I think about myself? What actions am I taking? That will be what others will reference when they want to talk about me. And that's what should be the focus when you are thinking about how you should be in charge of your life. Bottom line is this, as I try to drive home this point, be proactive. And that's how far I'll go for today. Share your feedbacks with me via socials at Ben_Olubenga. Be in charge of your life and affairs. Have a beautiful day.
Me and my guys, our party not the end. Miss White stay for house. She go stay with us till the dawn. We dey talk the talk, we dey walk. We dey pay for things where we want. All the dreams of yesterday, them go come true tomorrow. Everybody where we meet for the places where we dey go. Them like to jolly, like to talk and do the things them they talk. We no get the time to the force. Wahala day we go solve. Life will too short to worry too much and wait for God to come.
Baseline Beats with Benga is a wrap for this week. For questions, concerns, and feedback, reach him on Twitter and Instagram at Ben_Olugbenga. Until Baseline Beats with Benga comes away again next week, keep winning and enjoy the rest of the week.